Good afternoon, everybody. This is Lara with your Monday to Friday update for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. Real quick before I get into it, if you're not subscribed here, I recommend doing so because then you'll get my 15 years experience, over 10 of which now as a chartered market technician on these 3 markets 5 days a week for free, which is a pretty good deal. So please hit the subscribe button so you don't lose my channel and you don't miss out. And if you are subscribed, as always, thank you so very much. I really do appreciate your support. Please hit the like button and make a comment because all of your engagement helps. Someone's asked me to have a look at technicals for Bitcoin for the monthly chart. I'm not sure actually if they wanted me to do Elliott Wave or technicals, but I can't do Elliott Wave for Bitcoin on this channel because that's a subscription on my website. I do that every Monday at pureelliottwave.com for my membership. Bitcoin is pretty obviously in a bull market. There's a series of higher highs and there's a series of higher lows. And this chart adds some technical indicators. First thing to see is the moving averages. The longer term is a 2-year or 24-month moving average, and that's at just over 29,000. And the pink shorter term is a 1-year or 12-month. It's slightly below. The pink 1 year is really close to crossing over and moving up above the orange 2-year. The pink 1 year crossed below the 2-year in September 2022, and we saw the low just a little bit later in November 2022. There was a bullish crossover back here in December 2019, and we saw a huge bull market up to the eventual all-time high in November 2021 following that. So the crossovers of these two are going to give us signals, basically, is what I'm saying. When December's data is in, we're probably going to see a bullish cross of the 1 year over the 2 year, unless something ridiculously drastic happens in the last very few days of this year. It looks like we're going to get a bullish crossover. Volume has been pushing price higher, but not every single month on month. But so far we saw increasing volume for upward movement from January to February to March. April and May saw weaker volume, and then volume just fell off a cliff. But for the last 3 months, it has again been pushing price higher. This crypto compare data, I know it looks wrong. I'm really suspicious of it as well. We do see a decline in volume over all data sets, but not as drastic as this. I've checked it with Yahoo Finance. I think they've got pretty good solid data. So I know volume's declined, just not that much. But what I can see, even with this crypto compare data, is the last 4 months volume is again pushing price higher. So we go from September, this data's got 13.2 billion, October 25.2, November 28.6, and so far December 33.9. So volume definitely increasing, is pushing price higher, and that's exactly what we'd expect to see for a bullish case. At this time frame, ADX tells us there is an upward trend in a really early stage. This is not the strongest signal ADX can give because a black ADX line hasn't risen up from low levels below 15, but it has risen up from below both DX lines, so it is still a pretty strong bullish signal. That in conjunction with the overall bullish bias of this market that you see when you step back and look at the entire price history, that series of higher highs and higher lows, this is a really strong bullish look for Bitcoin. When you look at the entire price history with RSI, I think it was Pete Worthing on Twitter who pointed out this chart to me. You've got a nice trend channel here. Let's pull this up slightly. RSI has been making lower highs while price has been making higher highs, but I really do prefer to use peaks that are closer together. I find that if your peaks are this far apart, the divergence, it just doesn't always work. I'd be looking at like these 2 peaks and these 2 peaks and this peak and another peak if it was really close by. You get the idea. This far apart? No. And if you'd relied on that back in November 2017 when price closed at 11,417, you would not have been expecting the all-time highs. You would have said that Bitcoin would have to completely go a lot lower and you would have missed out. So it wouldn't have worked anyway. But what does work is this nice channel. So I'm going to use this for the end of the next bullish run. If RSI gets up to touch the upper edge of this trend channel, I'll be using that as one little piece of information in coming months to tell me that maybe the next bullish run could possibly be ending there. And the other piece of information it gives is RSI has come down almost to support and now it's moving up. So this again is a bullish look. Money flow's got the same, but money flow's been moving lower. If money flow can turn up, and move higher, that'll be another bullish look from money flow. In the last couple of months, ATR has just started to show a little bit of an increase. It's fantastic to see some volatility just starting to return to this market. It absolutely fell off a cliff after January 2022. It's had a major decline. It's had a decline before, here after a peak, and here it does tend to decline throughout a bear market and in the early stages of a new bullish run. So this is normal for ATR. Quick look at technicals for Bitcoin at the daily time frame. Still looking at this potential pennant pattern. It's now 21 days. It's getting a little bit old. The best performing flags and pennants complete within 15 sessions. This one's over 15 by by 6 days now. So the probability of a good outcome after this is now reducing. But if we see a break above resistance, which I calculate to be about 44,110 now, then the target from the pennant would be 53,190. Pennants and flags are continuation patterns, so we expect the breakout to be upward. Along the way up, I'll look for a little bit of resistance, possibly about 48,000, that could initiate a pullback or a consolidation. I'm expecting support for Bitcoin now to be quite likely to hold about 41,100. My Elliott Wave count for Ethereum is still going to label this little second wave correction over, lasting just 9 days and quite shallow. I'm going to label it like that because there's now the strong upward pull from a third wave at 5 degrees. This trend channel has seen price behave typically around it, a breakthrough, a back test of support, moving up and away. Prices being unable to break above resistance, about 2,400 today. It's tried, but it's just not been able to get there. There's only a few hours left for this session, so it doesn't look like it's going to be able to make it. Maybe it can do it on its next try. I'm still going to label this correction over though. This is a really bullish wave count for Ethereum. My potential, I don't like to call it target, but idea of where miner 3 might end, if it's 11.09 times the length of miner 1, that's an extreme Fibonacci ratio to reach 13,325. Daily technicals for Ethereum, a close above the upper edge of the flag pattern with push from volume adds confidence to an upward breakout. The target for the next wave up, 2738. Unable to break above resistance today though at 2,400. I thought it might just slice through next time it got up there, but nope, not yet. I'll expect support at 2,100 to most likely be strong and hold. Today is an upward session with a higher high and a higher low, but so far the candlestick is red with a bearish upper wick, so you need to look inside the session when it's contradicting itself like that in order to have confidence as to what volume's showing you. So when we look inside the session, we see downward bars with strong volume, but overall volume declining. But the downward bars are stronger than upward, so there's more downward pressure than upward pressure. So I will read this volume profile for today as bearish. No new proper range for Ethereum. I could draw a little resistance here on unbalanced volume, but the technical significance would be too low. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to wait until it traces out a little range, we get some decent support and resistance, and look for the next signal. The last signal from Ethereum was a bullish one, and that preceded the breakout from the flag. So again, beautiful way to use on balance volume. Have a play with it. Practice on your own charts. Draw your support and resistance lines. Look for those breakouts. Sometimes they come before price breaks out of a consolidation, and it tells you what direction the breakout's going to be in. One of the best advanced warnings you're ever going to get. Wonderful when it works. Doesn't always work, but it does work much more often than it fails. ADX is pretty much flat. The DX lines are whipsawing. No clear trend for Ethereum at this time frame. The model of stochastics plus support and resistance, which I use when ADX says there's no trend, tells us to expect a continuation of an upward swing until price reaches resistance and stochastics reaches overbought. Price is pretty much at resistance at 4,100, but stochastics is not overbought, so I'll expect a little bit more upward movement from price, maybe to next resistance above that, before we see the end of an upward swing, and then we'll see what ADX is saying. It could then say there is an upward trend. The Elliott Wave count for XRP remains the same. I'm expecting an upward swing for a B wave to reach at least 0.73119, and then a downward swing for a C wave to move below 0.5862 to complete a flat correction for miner 2. Flats are labelled A, B, C, and they subdivide 3, 3, 5, and the rule for a B wave within a flat is it must retrace a minimum 90% the length of A. If it's shorter than that, it's not a flat. Reanalyze your structure. It's really important when you do your corrective structures for Elliott Wave to get it right, because otherwise, I mean, what's the point? If you can get it right, and then you can try and identify a completed corrective structure that meets all Elliott Wave rules, then you can have some confidence when the correction's over. That's the point. Don't try and figure out what structure's unfolding as it unfolds. Try and figure out as soon as you can when you see a complete structure, but it's got to meet all Elliott Wave rules, or if you're not going to meet the rules, you just kind of wasting it's worse than a waste of time. You're going to give yourself incorrect information. For XRP, we might be seeing a descending triangle unfold. Now, these are tricky structures. Unlike flags and pennants, which are continuation patterns, triangles are either continuation or reversal patterns. For an upward breakout, we must have push from volume. For a downward breakout, not so necessary, but when you see it, it's impressive. Coming up for another test of resistance today, unable to get there. Pretty good resistance here at 0.675, but above that, stronger resistance if we can break above the descending triangle at 82. I think there's really strong support at 58 and even stronger support at 55. So the lower target for a downward breakout from the triangle is probably way too low. The upper target might not be high enough though. Today for XRP, like Ethereum, an upward session with a higher high and a higher low, but the candlestick here also is red. It's a little doji, and so we'd need to look inside the session to make a determination about volume. So looking inside the session, we see much stronger pushes on red bars, hourly bars, and so I'll determine that today's volume is overall bearish for XRP. ADX is still declining. It's now below both DX lines and below 15. It is setting itself up for the strongest signal it can give. But at this time frame today, no clear trend is indicated. The model of stochastics plus support and resistance expects an upward swing to continue until price reaches resistance and stochastics reaches overbought simultaneously. That's it from me today with a quick update for you. I hope everyone's having a lovely day.